So, after long last, I'm finally getting around to reviewing the final 2 episodes of the first season of Star Trek Picard. It's finally over, thank God, after 10 mediocre episodes of this depressing, overly violent, poorly written, profanity-filled, anti-Trek shit show, and I'm left asking the question, what was all that about? We conclude with the two-parter, Et in Arcadia Ego, and the story was just so derivative, banal, and poorly executed. It didn't leave any meaningful, lingering impact, but there were some really absurd and stupid aspects to both episodes, and those stayed in my mind in a kind of compressed blur. So, first things first, there was these giant orchid plants. They fly up into space, and they attach themselves to spaceships and then drag them down to the surface of the planet. They even took down an entire Borg cube. Plants. Okay. Picard says this.
Anyone who treats me like a dying man will run the risk of pissing me off.
Yeah, because, of course, that sounds like Picard, right? 7 of 9 is back again, and she just can't stop killing people who annoy her for some reason. She's bitter, world-weary, cynical, alcoholic, all the usual.
Never again kill somebody just because it's what they deserve.
I mean, it's just incredible. All this really positive character development, isn't it? I mean, after all the time she spent on Voyager regaining her humanity, Janeway was coaching her as a mentor to kind of find the good in the world, to rediscover who she was, and this is what they do to her. They utterly vandalized her character to the point where I bet she probably wishes that Janeway had never liberated her from the collective. Her life seems so awful now. She seems to be in more pain than ever. Anyway, Raffi tells Picard. She tells Picard that she loves him.
I love you, JL.
And that seemed out of left field. And then he says it back to her.
I love you too, Raffi.
But at the time, I couldn't tell if this was meant in a romantic way or if it was platonic. I guess it was platonic because it turns out that by the end, Raffi and Picard are gay? Despite having no scenes together alone in the entire season, Raffi and 7 of 9 are now lesbian lovers by the end. Completely out of left field. Like, I'm not even making that up. What even happened there? But then again, we're living in modern hookup culture, so this is hardly surprising. It was the same thing with Rios and Jurati. They hooked up really fast. You know, genuine romantic intimacy has given way to expediency, it seems. Also, Picard dies from his neurological condition, and then he winds up in this simulation, kind of like an afterlife, a digital afterlife with Data. But it's not really Data, it's not really his consciousness, it's some kind of recreation, like a simulation of Data that was made possible by cloning one of his positrons from B4 or something. It's just so ludicrous. Anyway, I saw a comment once, you know, about this farcical fractal neuronic cloning or whatever. So someone described it as being like homeopathic Data, because Data is ultimately just a machine. So it's kind of like saying that you can clone your car from one of its atoms, you know. Data realizes Picard loves him.
I dream about you all the time.
Ha! Gay!
It's wonderful to see you, Data. To see your strange, beautiful face.
Okay.
Among the many, many things that I regretted after your death was that I never told you that you loved me.
I mean, what am I watching? 7 years of The Next Generation and 4 films. And we never knew that Picard was gay for Data. I mean, seriously, what are they doing? But you know, at this point, I've just kind of become numb to the absurdity and wackiness of the show that literally nothing shocks me anymore. I feel like I'm watching a franchise in a tailspin. Like Star Trek is undergoing its own nervous breakdown week to week. It's just... It would almost be amusing to watch if it wasn't so tragic. So recently there was this Bounding Into Comics article, and it was commenting on a Variety interview with the showrunner Michael Chabon. And it reads, Variety's Adam Very went right for the $1 million question and asked Chabon, so were there things about Picard that you knew you wanted to do that you could sense would test some boundaries for fans? Siobhan answered, sure, to the extent that I was aware of the kind of toxic fandom. Here we go again. The anti-SJW, sad little corner of fandom. You just disregard that. He then added, sometimes you're motivated to have things simply because it's probably going to piss off or provoke people who seem to have missed the memo about just what exactly Star Trek is and always has been all about. Unbelievable self-righteous arrogance. Congratulations, Siobhan. You absolutely pissed off and provoked a lot of fans. And actually, I've been watching Star Trek my entire life, and unlike yourself, I know what it's about. The garbage you're producing is not Star Trek. Anyway, Rios hides an explosive in a football that somehow magically opens like this. What? Is this how footballs are made in the future? Also, speaking of magic, we already saw that forensic molecular reconstruction device earlier in the series, and it recreates past moments like a device that's similar to the one from Guardians of the Galaxy. This is just ludicrous on Star Trek, though. Anyway, now we have a new magic device, and it repairs things, and you just have to hold it, and then magically, if you just imagine in your mind, it will repair something that's broken. I mean, I'm not even making that up. It's basically a magic wand, right? Okay, it's the sonic screwdriver from Doctor Who. And also there was this. I remember this. This is the stuff of nightmares for me. Also, when he dies, and it's hard to believe I'm not making this up, he's resurrected and his consciousness is placed into a clone of his body. I'm not even making that up. Data says they took like an image of his brain's substrates or something. Is that a copy then of Picard, or is it is it his actual consciousness? I guess it is. I mean, maybe, whatever. And anyway, they never show what happened to his old body. So, whatever. I guess they disposed of it or something. So Picard and Data don't really talk about anything interesting when they're together. Butterflies or something like that. And Data wants to die, so Picard unhooks him from the virtual reality simulation he's in. Now, Riker is the only highlight. He shows up with a copy and paste fleet of the ugliest looking Federation starships you've ever seen. When have you ever seen such a large fleet of the same identical ship on Star Trek? Look at how gorgeous these fvessels are on DS9. This is a battle during the Dominion War. Why can't modern Trek produce aesthetically pleasing looking vessels anymore? So Jonathan Frakes' brief presence on the show and his return to uniform, and he's acting captain and commander of this fleet, it's the only real Trek moment in the entire season for me. Frakes is fantastic as Riker again, and you watch it and it makes you smile and you go, this is what the show should have been. Right? I would have watched a Riker-centric show, in command of the Titan or the Enterprise. I also don't know why they call the ship the Zheng He. This was an opportunity to have the Enterprise. Maybe the Enterprise E or the Enterprise F, to bring in a totally new Enterprise, design a new Enterprise. But for some reason they went with this rather forgettable name. But you watch it and you go, yeah, that moment was Star Trek. It's a shame about the rest of the show. He's facing off against a character that's like Philippa Georgiou from Section 31, but it's Commander O from the Tal Shiar. Given how similar they are in characterization, I honestly can't tell the difference between them. Turns out Data had a brother the entire time, a human brother. And he never told anybody on The Next Generation. And this is the son of the original Noonien Soong. His name is Dr. Alton Inigo Soong. This is just an absolutely absurd retcon, and it makes no sense. Data always made a big deal about Lore being his only brother. But okay, whatever. It is nice to see Brent Spiner get some more screen time. Now, Major Grin recently did a great video explaining that the Vision, the admonition, which Jurati has, it makes use of some Shutterstock footage. I'm not even making this up. They just modified some Shutterstock videos. Okay? It's not a joke. Did the budget for this show basically go to Patrick Stewart's fee or something? I mean, this is just pathetically cheap. We get more unnecessary swearing.
Have you fucked any of them?
Yeah, the F word. That's definitely what Star Trek was always about. Thanks, Siobhan. Our culture truly is at a very low point. Picard convinces Soji to stop the big beacon thing from contacting the synthetics, these advanced synthetic life forms that protect all synthetic life. And this scene kind of looked reminiscent of the Chitauri coming through the portal in New York in the Avengers film. Anyway, the crew all fly off to space to God knows wherever, and the season ends. And it's here I want to conclude my reviews of Star Trek Picard. Because I no longer want to keep watching this show. One season for me was one season too many. It's a dour, bleak, depressing, brain-dead, often boring, lifeless, and unpleasant show, and it's a disgrace to the legacy and mythology of Star Trek. And I really wish they'd stop making it, and I don't think it should be considered canon in the future. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Something in my head seemed to just go away.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I wish my entire memory of this show would just go away.